How big can I get my heart to be?
Thought Media Network proudly presents
How much love can I get flowing out of me?
The Real Talk Sisters. Deep, unfiltered, soulful conversations with Reverend Dr. Pjae Stanley, Reverend Kim Andrews, and Reverend Melinda Wood Allen.
How big can I get my heart to be?
Join us for Real Talk on Real Issues. Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Central, 1 o'clock Mountain. And now, let's join the Real Talk Sisters.
How big can I get my heart to be?
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, lovies.
Yay.
Everybody out there, it's good to see you. Or
Yes,
not see you, as the case may be. It's good for you to see me.
Good to be seen.
It's good to be seen.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Pjae Stanley, and yeah, it's just been a good week. Let's go ahead and check in a little bit. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's been a good week. We've just been moving forward with my work and meeting up with some ladies and helping them talk about how they can master their life, which is fantastic. So as I'm learning how to master mine as well, we're sharing what we're learning. So that's really fantastic. Yeah, and I got some good news about a relative. He was my son. He's living here in where we are here in Texas, and he was moving back to Colorado, but he's not going to do that now. So I'm really glad about that. And so we're going to enjoy a wonderful Super Bowl party where I get to spank him again in spades. So that's fantastic. Yeah.
Ooh.
Sounds like love to me.
That's what love looks like, baby. That's what it
looks like.
That's what
Yeah.
it looks like. Oh, so what's happening with you two ladies?
So I have had quite the adventure. Last week I was in the IRS land because it's the end of the year and 1099s were due out, giving statements were due out. And the good thing was I had lots of help from volunteers. I love that I've got so many people now just stepping up in my spiritual community saying, what can I do? And I have these talents and I just want to help and I want to give back and I want to be a part of what we do. So that has just really been fantastic. And now I am making lists of things that need to be done. And it's nice to know that I don't have to do them anymore because I really need to be in self-care land quite a bit these days. And part of that is letting go of stuff, delegating if you need to.
Exactly. I was getting ready to say, I think
mine to do or not. So
exactly,
it's helping with the self-care and it just makes me feel good about what's going on in my community.
Absolutely, that is in fact a community.
People are taking ownership of their community, and that's wonderful to see and be a part of. So
yeah.
So I'm good.
I can remember when, at a time where there wasn't anyone and you just said, oh my gosh, I'm just taking everything on myself. And you actually made a decision. I'm not going to do everything. It's either going to fall or someone's going to pick it up. And you have people picking it up.
Yeah.
People are picking it
beautiful.
up.
Yeah, they're picking it up. So beautiful. Yeah.
How about you, Melinda?
Well, I had a pretty good week too. I have a super busy week coming up and I had a super busy beginning of the week last week. But on Wednesday, after I taught my class and had my counseling appointment, I my husband and I drove down to the Guadalupe River. And Wednesday night and Thursday night and Friday night, came back Saturday morning. But between there was a Thursday and a Friday. 2 days. And I did not have any idea how much tension I was carrying until the moment that I let it go. Nice. And it was like, oh, wow, this is what it feels like not to be carrying an 800-pound pack on my back. Because as you all know, we've moved house, our offices have moved. There's been a lot going on. And, but I just allowed my brain to turn off. I didn't answer email. I didn't I did write my sermon. I needed to do that because it's going to be back on Sunday. So I did spend, some time in that, but that's a joy to me, actually.
Right, right.
And I read books and I took naps and I built a fire out in the chimenea and I sat and watched it for long periods of time. So it was extremely restorative and it helped me remember, we were talking about self-care for the last 2 weeks. Y'all do as we say, not as we do. My self-care hasn't been that great lately. And I've known it was temporary, that there was certain things that had to be done on a timeline and that time would end. And I've decided that time is over now. So we've decided we're going to go more often. We're not going to wait until everything's done, because everything's never done.
It never is.
You have to say, time out. Take a lesson from the football players. Time out. So that's what we had, just a brief timeout, but it was extremely restorative. I had a lot of people on Sunday say, "You seem so good. What's going on?"
I wasn't even good before.
Yeah. Just they just felt the lightness in me that they had.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's very telling when somebody in your community says, "Gee, you should go away more often."
It's true. That's
that.
Oh man, so it's just so affirming.
Ouch.
That what we were talking about when we talked about last week in the self-care is obviously not just for you. It is for you, but other people benefit.
Yeah.
Because we do need to do that, so we can come to whatever we're coming to fully ourselves. So yeah. So what are we talking about today?
Today we are going to talk about love.
Love.
We're going to talk about love and love, both. This month we're just kind of break it up into different types of love, and I wanted to start us with a quote as we or a couple actually, as we did last week, and because what we wanted to talk about today is loving people who are difficult to love. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a couple. One is from Rabbi Yehuda Berg. He says, hurt people hurt people. That's how pain patterns get passed on generation after generation after generation. Break the chain today. Meet anger with sympathy, contempt with compassion, cruelty with kindness. Greet grimaces with smiles. Forgive and forget about finding fault. Love is the weapon of the future. And one more quote by E.E. Cummings. He says, we do not believe in ourselves until someone reveals that deep inside us, something is valuable, worth listening to, worthy of our trust, sacred to our touch. Once we believe in ourselves, we can risk curiosity, wonder, spontaneous delight, or any experience that reveals the human spirit.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So we're at, I just, I think it's so true. And the thing that I have to practice most when I find someone difficult to love, and you don't have to look very far. All you have to do is turn on your TV at around 5 or 6 and find a lot of people that are difficult to love, is that to remember that hurt people hurt people. There is no one, I tell my community this all the time, there's no one that comes up and does an act of disrespect or violence or disdain or contempt or anything like that because they're feeling good about themselves.
That is correct.
Never comes from that place. It always comes from a place of pain. And when I can understand, no matter how bad somebody is, if I can how bad what they're doing seems to be to me, if I can remember that comes from the same depth, however bad that seems, that's the depth of the pain that they're in. Right. And I can have compassion for that.
Absolutely. My sister's husband says something. When he first set it up, I didn't quite get it, but the more that I think about it, I understand it. And use it in my mind. I don't say it, but in my mind, I'm thinking, no one starts the day saying, I want to act like a jerk, or I want to hurt somebody's feelings. Or I don't think anyone actually deliberately, I mean, unless you're a sociopath or something, just deliberately wants to hurt someone. And so he says, just think that whoever you're meeting, they're at 100%. It doesn't matter if it doesn't match your 100%. Meaning they're doing the best they can in that moment.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, and I believe it is, because nobody says until I'm just going to do 95% today. I'm just going to do like half. I'm going to be half-assed today. Nobody says that. So if they're doing the best that they can, I can have compassion for where they are. If this is the best you can do today, it's been a rough day for you, and I can have some compassion, and I can have some
It's been a
sympathy.
rough life for you.
It's been a rough. Today doesn't is indicative, yes, of the
Yeah.
life you're living, and so I can have some love in my heart and some compassion. That's what makes it easier to look past the behavior. That's what we always say: look past the behavior and into the heart of love. And if what we say is that we're all individual, well, this is what I say, and I believe this is what we do in New Thought. We're all individualized expression of the one love. Then that's what we're looking at. Look past the behavior into the one love and connect there. So, but easier said than done, particularly when it comes to family. I no, I believe, I honestly believe, I'm not saying this to be joking, even though it seems funny. I actually believe that we have family to help us learn things because
Oh,
they're not easy to walk away from. You can walk away from a stranger, you can walk away from friends, you can say, man, get out of my life. But family is blood. You can't walk away from blood. You can't do it. So we learn our greatest lessons, I believe, via our family. This is my
and not
thoughts.
all family is blood, but family is family.
Family, whatever whatever the
Is
family,
family is
yeah,
ties. I just
right.
say that as an adopted child.
Absolutely, I got you. But it's still, whether it's not physical blood or just the blood of the person who's the emotional blood, the heart blood, whatever it is that brought you to their home,
Mhm.
brought you guys together to live together as a family. That's still to me blood ties, even though it's physical blood. But I get your point. I get your point. Yeah.
Yeah. And also the family member that probably has the most to teach me because I just keep getting lessons day after day after day after day is my
After
spouse
day.
who I'm related to voluntarily.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Chosen.
a family that you didn't
Chosen.
volunteer for, and there's the
Right.
family you volunteered for. But
Yeah.
it is so apparent to me that we are actually here to push each other's buttons so
I
that
really do think that.
we can learn from the button pushing. Yeah.
Correct. There was a uh, um, a marriage ceremony, and I have it in one of my files on, but I just remember this part that stood out so much when they talked about how much they loved each other, and then they went on to say, trusting what I do not yet know, trusting what I do not yet know. So, meaning to me, when I hear that, that means whatever shows up, we're going to love each other through it, whatever that is. And so that's, and we'll talk about romantic love later, but yeah, I think that's one of the things that love shows up and looks like. What are your thoughts, Miss Kim?
I think we should back up
Okay, back it up.
from here we are talking about the love part and the, looking at them and seeing them as we want to see ourselves and, separating deed from doer. And let's
Yes.
go back to the point of stimulus when you're just, you're just, stuff has just hit the fan and
Yes.
you feel stuff ratcheting up and because this is the real deal about life is that there will always be somebody that's hard to love even if it's ourselves in the moment.
Right. Ooh, like that.
Sometimes that happens
Yeah.
and um and we need to figure out what do we do at that point because I know in those moments, and I've had some lately, where I just want to engage, not in a good way. And
Mhm.
the button has been pushed, and I feel like their finger is still on the button. And I might immediately want to push their button back.
Yes.
Because that's also the way I grew up, that you respond in kind, and maybe you hit first because you at some point, everybody's going to want to hit you. And so there's a mistrust of others, even though, or especially those that you love. So in the moment, we were kidding around, before we even got on, came live today, that sometimes it's just taking a breath in that moment. Even if the stimulus is passed and you have something that's flown out of your mouth, you've taken that metaphorical punch, into the solar plexus with someone, and we still have a moment of choice at that point to take a breath and say, oh, look what happened. Okay, do I want to continue down this path, or do I want to pull back and start to think about, okay, they are not their deeds. Something has transpired here. How do I want to show up?
Absolutely.
Am I going to be the adult in the room? Sometimes we are the only adult in the room.
Yeah.
And what does that look like?
Right.
What does that look like?
Yeah. I like what you, go ahead.
One of the things that you pointed out that I definitely wanted to bring up today is that idea of if we ourselves are some of the hardest people to love.
Mm-hmm.
We don't treat ourselves. I will say that sometimes we treat ourselves in ways that we would never treat another person.
Exactly.
We speak to ourselves in ways that we would never speak to another person. And so it really does start at home. If somebody's going to be pushing your buttons and you're already in a space of, I can't take one more thing, then your response is going to be a lot more explosive. If someone comes up and pushes your buttons and you're in a place of, hey, I know who I am and I'm fine. And I'm, whatever comes toward me, I'm going to make it through. It really makes a difference. And so it starts at home. It starts with how to love self. And I think I may have shared this with you guys before, but this is an awakening for me. I'd been in New Thought for 20 years at least. And one morning, it was about probably 9 years ago, maybe, I woke up on a Saturday morning and my husband, we woke up, late, same time. He looked over at me and he said, "You're so beautiful in the morning."
Aww.
And I know. Immediately on that, in my mind, I heard myself say to Melinda, "Yeah, if you like fat cows with bad hair."
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know how many times I'd said that to myself or something similar, but for some reason that day I heard me. I heard what I said and I went, whoa. If anyone said that to your mother or your sister or your best friend or even some stranger in the street, you would intervene. You would say, no, we don't talk to each other like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet here was me talking to me like that. And all of the books I'd ever read about self-love, self-acceptance, and blah, 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 how it starts at home, that day, I finally actually heard myself. And I made a pact with myself that I can't promise that I'll never think another thought like that again. But I follow it up with, whoa, wait a minute. I love you just the way you are.
Exactly.
And if I need to follow that up with, and if you want to make some improvements, you know how to do that. But it's your choice. It's your choice. It's your choice. And when I choose to be different, I will be different. But until then, I'm just fine like I am. And that, when I come from that place, rather than the place of, say, trying on 15 outfits before you go out the door because everything looks terrible on you. You ever have a day like that?
Oh God, yes. There's nothing in my closet that looks good. What was I thinking when I bought this stuff? Yeah.
So taking care of business at home is step one of being able to love other people who are hard to love, because guess what? I'm hard to love. I have to say to my husband sometimes, and y'all know, you hear me complain about him all the time, mostly with you
lovingly.
But I look at myself and go, dang, you poor dude, what you put up with. Put up with for me. And
all the things he has to put up with, all the beautiful things you do for him.
All the beautiful
things. I'm here to remind you as well.
Yes, yeah.
we are probably going to need to take a
Yeah.
quick break.
Break time.
And we're going to come back and talk about the tools the toolbox that we have to deal
Yeah.
with some of this stuff, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. All right. So we're back, and just I know we've talked about a couple of tools that we have in our toolbox to deal with the things you're talking about when someone's saying something or you're saying something, particularly when you're not loving yourself. And one thing that we do in New Thought that when I first heard about it, then, okay, I don't that sounds very I don't know, gooey wooey, yeah, whatever. But it actually works really well. And in the middle of me saying something crazy to myself, like, you suck as a singer, I do affirmations and denials first. And I actually physically put my hand up. That is not true. That is not true. Talk to the hand. What is true is that I'm actually a very good singer and have been my whole life. And I love singing. And whether anybody out there enjoys it or not, I enjoy it. So I'm a good singer. So affirmations and denials and those kinds of things where I'm just in the middle of something and it's just running. Sometimes you just go down a hill. I can just stop, deny what is fake, what is false, and affirm what is true. So that's one. I don't want to go through all of them because you guys have them as well. So let's share.
I love this idea of putting your hands up. I have this thing where I visualize a stop sign in front of my face when I recognize that I'm going down that path. Because there was a time in my life when if I was on a roll with, putting down me or anybody else, I would sometimes, every once in a while, become aware of it and go, oh, well, I'm committed now, and just keep going. I learned how to go, no, you don't have to wait till it's over and stop and turn around. You can actually put on the brakes right here. Right here.
Like it. Yeah, I like that. Just stop sign in your face.
That stop sign in the face, that visual, and then that kinetic thing. Yeah. Those are actually things that interrupt the energy that's flowing through you and can turn it in another direction. I love that.
Even mid-sentence. I mean, there are times when I've started away, I went, because the thought was here, it was getting ready to come out of the mouth. And I stopped mid-sentence, whether I was saying it to myself or someone else.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, no, I'm not doing that.
No.
Yeah. Either that's not true. I do say a denial out loud. Yeah. And then follow it with an affirmation. Sometimes it might take me a little bit of time to figure out what is the affirmation here. How do I want to reframe this? And what is the new thought? What is the new belief I'm going to step into? But I used to think, well, this train's already out the station, let it run.
Woo woo! When we get to the next stop.
Yeah. Just let her rip. And now I know, you put the brakes on, reel it back. Yeah. And then sometimes I have to say, especially if it's my husband or somebody's in front of me, I say, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah.
Beautiful.
That was uncalled for.
Yeah.
And
just
then own it. Yes. Own it. Apologize for it. Forgive myself. And then perhaps I might have to go away and think about what is the adult conversation I want to have after this. Who is the Kim that wants to show up? Yes.
I like that. Yeah, so it doesn't have to actually be all the time an immediate thing that comes back because you may not know exactly what you're saying. You just and particularly if we have the habit of doing something, then we've decided now that's not what we want to say or do. then we've got to rethink and go, okay. And sometimes I go all the way back, well, where does it even come from? It's not who I am. It's not who I claim I am. So
Mhm.
why is this falling out of my mouth? Why am I allowing myself to do this to me or to anyone else? And so for me, sometimes it just takes a little bit of digging to see what's really going on. What am I really doing here? What do I think I'm doing here? And then say, well, you're not accomplishing that. You're not accomplishing that. So here's a better way. So I like that. One
This
of the
is,
things that go ahead.
no, you go.
Well, I was going to come back to that whole thing where our parents would tell us, hey, before you do anything, count to 10. And I always thought it was so stupid, but that's just a pause. That is that breath that we get to take. And so I was, what is it? 10, and then jump because I was committed to jumping. But as I look back on it, I can think that's the time for the breath and to rethink and to think: is this who you want to be? Is this what you want to say? Is this how you want to affect this person's life right now? Whether it's this person, me, or this person outside of me. So that breath is important. Count to 10 if you need to, and then count to 10 again if you need to, and then count to 10 again. How many tens it takes,
However
to
many
catch the
times
breath.
it takes.
How
Yeah.
many tens it takes? Just take a breath.
Yeah.
Oh, you gonna say, Linda?
There's a tool that I learned in 12 step. When I find myself acting in ways that do not feel like me and I'm not happy with the way I'm acting or speaking. And that's the word halt. Again with the stop sign, halt. Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? Then I need to attend to those things in me because I am projecting it out on others because of how I'm feeling. So if I bring it back in and take care of those things
Right.
and take care of me and to just have the awareness, okay, it's been a long day. I'm really tired and I'm ready for dinner. So I'm not going to be my nicest. And sometimes I'll just warn my husband, till dinner gets on the table, it's probably better that you don't talk to me.
Probably best.
To take it well.
And if they're smart men, which they are, they've been with us long enough. They'll know that they'll take the hint, go read a paper, whatever they need to do.
Yeah, my husband knows how to make a wide berth around me.
Okay, just listen.
Yes.
He's not
He
in the mood.
disappears. Because some days, I come out of the gate and I'll say, or he knows, this is not the day. This is not the day.
Not it.
No,
it's not it.
not
It is
today.
not today, baby. Not today, boo boo.
Yeah.
And I can read.
On top that says not today.
Not today, honey.
Not today.
Not today. Not today. All right. This ain't today. I'm not the one. Not today. And I remember distinctly when I was pregnant with my son John, and my poor little husband. He just didn't. I mean, I was just cranky and whatnot. Just about to have just a drop it, just big as a house. And he came out and he said, "Is there anything I can do for you? Anything at all?" I said, "Yes. You can get out of my face, please, right now."
Yes, that's a gift to someone.
It was a gift.
Yeah.
You don't want to be here, buddy. I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to save both of us. Get out.
Run.
Sometimes the truth helps. Just speak the truth. But anyway,
speak the truth about what your needs are, for sure.
Exactly, what your needs are, what you really need, what your needs are, and kind of know each other. The other thing that is a tool for me is you guys, is friends like you, who can speak truth to me, and in a loving way, but speak truth to me. And I know both of you have said things to me that make me think, oh, that's yeah, I have shown up that way, or yes, I am showing up this way now, and particularly now, as I'm finally kind of getting, I don't know if it goes down and then back up. I guess it goes down and then back up, with this long-term relationship. And we talked about barriers last week, and you guys shared with me, hey, you mentioned, your ex-husband is, there's still
boundaries.
places where boundaries. I'm sorry, barriers. Boundaries that we were talking about. You're right, boundaries. And so I emailed him and said, you gotta come get this car, and you gotta come get this stuff. You gotta come get this stuff. Whatever it is, either come get it or I will be selling it. So
Very good.
so yeah, and it's like a weight. Who knows? I didn't even know I had a weight there. But when I said it, it was just, oh yes, I need to keep doing things that get that barrier there for me, so that I can have peace of heart and bring peace of mind and bring my heart back to what it needs to be. But My point is, friends that I can trust to speak truth to me in a loving way. So thank you guys for being that for me. I don't think many people have that. And if they don't, find it
Yeah.
because it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary.
It takes, and something that all of this that we've talked about so far requires of us is a certain amount of humility.
It does.
Because it's pride that keeps you, oh, I'm already committed, I can't stop now, I'm going to wait till the
Right.
train gets to the station. But
Correct.
humility says, I don't care what I look like, stop
care.
right now, I'm sorry, I didn't do this well, you know.
I didn't do it well. Yeah.
And to hear, you may have friends that speak truth, but you also have to hear the truth. You have
Good
to
point.
have ears to hear it, and it takes trust, and it
Yeah.
takes humility.
Yeah. Yeah.
A big one.
And yeah, and I think for you guys, for me too, for all of us, it takes courage to be able to speak to someone in this way, to say something that they're not going to necessarily want to hear. But hopefully, and so when we start talking about loving and relationships, this is what a good relationship looks like. You don't just always pander; you actually speak truth, so that there's growth for the both of you.
Mhm.
In how you want to be and how you want to show up and how you want to care for one another. For me, that's loving care. That you guys will say something to me that says you care about me, and Pjae, I know this is not you. This is not how you want to show. This is not what you're trying to do. But what's coming is not what I know you're trying to do. And we know each other well enough to be able to say that. So it's just a beautiful thing. My glasses are fogging up.
Yeah, it took me a time to realize that, once that train is out of the station, once we've said something or words have been exchanged or something hurtful has happened, and if you're in that moment of pride, you think, I'm just going to let this thing ride and I'm going to drive it deeper into the ditch. It never gets prettier.
No.
It never does. It only gets worse as you go. And so, there's some, saving of face and being able to recoup who you are and to show up as who you truly are, which is love.
Yes.
And to actually be that love in action. And that is hard to do. That does take real courage and humility. It takes looking at yourself internally, often in a split second, and saying, oh, that's not right. That's not right. Stop that. Stop that.
Yeah.
And so in my family, I didn't get the count to 10 thing because we were too busy pushing each other's buttons. And you always pushed buttons before somebody could push yours. That's how I learned.
It's a defensive mechanism, right?
Yeah, it's a defensive mechanism. So you hit first, and then that way you might be disabled and you can't get up and hit me. Right. So there were never any physical punches in my family. It was always emotional stuff. Pushing
which is
those
hard.
buttons.
Those are rough.
Yes. And at some point I realized I just want less buttons. I mean, I used to have a button for every square inch of my body, probably, so to speak. And I know now at this point of my life, I have far less buttons. I mean, I probably have a small percentage of buttons now, and they're not always present. Every once in a while, a button will pop up, and I'll think, oh, I need to heal that. There's something I need to work on there, and it's usually something that came out of my past. And I've got this recurring thought, like Melinda, like the thought you had about yourself, that came from somewhere.
Right.
And so often I have to go back and figure out what is it I have to heal. And that's why I take space sometimes and say, look, I got to walk away and I'll come back and have the adult conversation later. But right now, I don't really know what I'm talking about because it's not always about what happened in the moment just now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if
it's about something way back.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's historical, you're not the adult in the room. You're coming from that wounded place that didn't grow up. And so
4 years old, 10 years old, 13 years old, 62 years old.
whatever child,
whatever age.
Yeah.
No judgment. No judgment. We're all on the path of growth, most of us.
Well, you mentioned something. Go ahead. Come back. Were you gonna say something, Melinda? Okay.
If you're piggybacking on her, you keep talking.
Well, yeah, you just said something, about that you have less buttons to push. And I love that statement because that's a statement of growth. And part of what goes on here in New Thought, and why, people talk about it all the time. They say, we have the truth, we know the truth. Why don't we have larger numbers in our congregations or in our, whatever we're doing? And part of it is because this is hard work. We don't get absolution just by somebody sprinkling or just, doing some crap. We don't get that. We get it because of the work that we do. And then it's
Yeah.
hard work. That means looking inside and making sure, oh, that was a button someone pressed. That was a response that I made. I have control over how I respond to things. If I look and see what is causing that response, which is the deeper work, to acknowledge old hurts, to forgive how that hurt got there, and to decide I'm not going to, that's done. I'm done. I'm not going to let that, I'm going to behave in this way. This is a lot of work. But for me, and I think for us, it's what matters. It's what matters, and it's what makes a great life. Is that we get to a place, and I probably won't get there, but I'm working on getting to a place where I have no buttons to push. I think if I'm there, I'm probably Jesus or in heaven somewhere. But I'm working. I'm working on it, and I know, yeah, just a Cindy, not there yet. Far from it, but
You know,
working on it.
when you have a lot of buttons, there's always a button getting pushed.
Exactly.
Because life
Yeah.
happens. You're navigating through the world, no matter where the button is, something's getting pushed somewhere.
Exactly.
Yes. So you're vulnerable all the time.
That part,
All the
that
time.
part, that part. I
Yeah.
mean, there's always someone outside of you that has control over you. And I don't want that.
Mhm.
I want to be, and I think we have that power to be in control of what happens, who we let into our lives, and so when I get upset about something, I really, I don't actually blame the person that did whatever they did. The first thing is why? Why does that bother you? They're doing what they're doing. What's it to you? That's the question I ask myself. What is this to
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
What's it to you?
So that brings up another technique that I've used the last several years to help me in loving what, I won't say the unlovable, but the things that for some reason I have a hard time loving. And it's this idea, and it came from a mindfulness exercise. I choose, I love. When I love something, I choose it. When I choose something, I better love it, or
You
I need
chose
to
it.
let it go, you know?
Right.
So for just as a for instance, I'm meditating and my dog is going because she needs to go outside. And
Hello.
why doesn't this damn dog get away from me so I can be spiritual, or whatever. I realized this really is where it came from. One morning, a few years ago, I noticed I was really annoyed. I was like, gotta go let her out. And then I went, you know what? You went out of your way to get this dog into your life. You drove for a long way to this rescue place and picked up this dog and took her home and spent lots of money and lots of time, and you love her. So why is she in your way at this moment? It has nothing to do with her and her needs. It has everything to do with where you are. And by golly, if I'm going to choose it, if I've chosen it, then I need to love it. And if I don't want to love it, then maybe I don't have a good boundary. Maybe there's some place that I need to unchoose.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you look around and you say, I chose this and it's not working for me.
Okay. Right. Maybe it used to,
A
but not now.
rational adult decision about this is not working for me,
Right. Right.
and then taking action from there is different from slugging it, right? Whatever that's not
Correct.
working for
Correct.
you.
So
So this
we have.
is, I choose, I love, I choose. I choose, I love,
I
I love.
love that. That's a wonderful. I like that. That makes perfect sense. And we have Pat Moore in the chat, and she says that moment of hesitation, and the heat of the moment is a holy moment, a moment
It
of
is.
grace to eliminate karma before it lives. I love
Mm.
that, Pat, and you're exactly correct. It is a moment of grace, a holy moment that allows you to. That's not who I am. I'm not showing up as me. I love that. So beautiful. Thanks, Pat. Um, yeah. So this is part of what love looks like, is having these tools, because you grow up with this idea. I did. I'm not going to put on anybody else, but I did. I grew up with the fact that if you love somebody, everything's going to be magically just be perfect and fine because you love each other, and so you're just going to magically know what to do, and everything you do is going to please the other person, and everything they do is going to please you, and all of this nonsense. And that's not the case at all. And so, uh, just this is what we're talking about right now, these tools that we have, is how we get to choose and love and choose and love again and again. Choose
Mhm.
to love again and again. It's not just a one-off. It's not a one-off, and I love that. And I don't I'm not sure that's where how you meant to do it, but I'm going to use it in that way. I like that. Since you said what you choose, you love, and what you love, you choose. And so I I can also use that when I'm in the middle of something. And, oh, you chose to be here. You chose to love this person, so love them.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
love that. I love it. Um, one of the other things that that uses another tool or whatever, I have there's a lot, because you never know what's going to work in the moment. You just need a lot of tools in your tool chest. But one of the things that helps me to understand love is the children in our lives, whether they're our grandchildren or our children or the children in our lives, because it is so they're wonderfully new to the planet and just trying to love and be loved. And so I would never be harsh with them. Never. That would never be my intention. Of course, I shared with you guys a conversation I had with my daughter. When I was harsh with her, I remembered it years later and went back, even though it was years later, to apologize for that and to get her version of the story and let her tell me what she needed to tell me. So we do hurt people, even though we love them, even though we've chosen to love. But when we reflect on it, when we know that that has happened, then we can choose to love again and do whatever is loving in that moment, even if it's 10 or 20 years later. Doesn't matter. There's no time, in love. And there's no time in hurt feelings. People have hurt feelings. And love, I believe, dissolves it. If
Yeah.
someone knows that you love them or what your intention was, and you are uh, genuine and coming genuinely open, uh, looking to 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 love them fully, more fully, I believe that there's a response in their heart. Now they may be upset and not ready to do it. That's okay too. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
we shouldn't try.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, it's about time for us to take a little
wow,
break, and we'll talk about some more tools for loving when we come back.
beautiful. All right, we are back.
This past Sunday, I did a talk, and one of the things I mentioned, Stephen Covey is one of the people I know use this phrase, love is a verb. And he was actually talking to someone who said, he was having trouble. He thought he had fallen out of love with his wife.
Mm,
He didn't know what to do about it. And Stephen Covey said to him, we're not always going to feel that love when we love somebody or somebody we're in relationship with. And that if he wanted to feel that love again for his wife, he needed to do something. He needed to do the loving. He needed to do something loving for his wife and do it over and over again, because it's from the doing that we get the feeling of love.
mm,
So it's not always present, especially like you said, family, Pjae.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes, they're in our lives. We're not feeling loving towards them. And so perhaps that's time for the doing.
yes,
That's when we need to step in and actually do the loving, do some
yes.
kind of act of kindness for them, say something to them.
Right.
If you know if you're into love languages, you know what that is for that particular person, give them an act of love, some kind of gift of love, something from yourself, and then that will help the feelings to regenerate, to be aware of them again, re-experiencing them again. And probably in long-term relationships, that's really important.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Because you got, the fire going on in the beginning and things, life happens. And then you do a little bit more work. You wonder, gee, what happened? I don't feel the love anymore. Well, maybe we're not doing the loving anymore.
Right. Right.
Maybe we're
Not doing
waiting
the
for
loving
this
things.
amorphous love thing to just kind of fall on top of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's not a feeling that we're waiting to descend on us.
yeah,
It's something that we choose.
Yes.
It's something
And
that we do,
actively work on.
that we're mindful of.
Yes. Yeah.
One technique that I've used for years, and it never ever fails me, when there's someone in my life, because we said we were talking about people that are hard to love. I'm not going to name any names here.
No, that's all right.
I have
Love you.
had periods of my life, and it's especially, and Kim alluded to this before, to forgive someone for pushing your buttons is one thing, but when they keep their thumb on the button and it's just
Yeah.
not every day, every day, every day, every day,
Yes.
and for whatever reason, you have chosen to stay in that position where the button could be pushed. It might be a job, a boss that you can't stand. It might be a marriage that you've decided to stay in, even though it's really painful. It might be, a child that is just really hard to deal with, but you're not going to get rid of your child for whatever it happens to be, or someone who ripped you off in business, perhaps. I've had all of those things. It's at one point or another. And what I know to do is to every day pray specifically for that person, for their highest good. And the prayer that I use is, I want their highest good. God, every good thing that I want for myself, please now give to this person.
Beautiful.
And man, I don't know what it does. It changes.
It
I'm sure
changes you.
me. It
It
changes
does.
me, but I swear it changes them too, because I have seen
It probably does.
the difference. Yeah.
It probably does.
But there, and the beautiful thing is, and when I share this with people, when I share it with my community, they go, I don't want them to have all the good things I have. It's like, wait a minute. Let's think of the prayer under the prayer. What do you want? You want to be happy. You want to be joyful. You want to be free. Well, I guarantee you, this person that's pushing your buttons, if they're happy and joyful and free, they have no need to push your buttons.
None whatsoever.
So when you wish for every good thing, it doesn't mean that you're wishing that they win the lottery. Maybe that's it, but what you're praying for, and I'm saying wishing, what you're praying for is that person knows the peace and love of God, the peace and love that is their inherent right just by being here. Because
Absolutely.
again, no one acts like a jerk because they're feeling peaceful and loving.
Okay. If they felt more love, then they would be doing all that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
That is an energetic thing.
What
When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change.
Oh my stars. And that's energetically correct.
Yes.
I think that's energetically correct. And you shared something last week, Melinda, about your father. And I won't tell that, you tell it if you want, retell it if you want right here. But I had the same situation with my father. And he did not, I should have taken a hint, but he didn't like Jason. And he would, whether Jason was with me or not, he would start talking about him negatively. And I would say to him, Dad, I want to be around you. I love you. But if you start talking like this, I'm going to have to leave. Okay, so please don't do that. And he would say, yes, and he would say something about it. Okay, well, I kiss you, love you. I'll see you next time. I'll see you later. And just lovingly just leave. So these are the boundaries that we set in terms of self-care. I love my husband. And I want to see him being talked about, certainly around me, taking care of me, around me. Even if you can't say something nice, then don't say anything. It's okay. Just don't say anything. But set the boundary for myself so that I felt like that I was being a good spouse or a loving spouse, but just not and letting my father know it's not okay. It's not okay with me. I'm not going to join in this conversation. So there's self-care, care for those you love, and on both sides. Care for my father. I'm not going to touch him out. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to gently leave and come back and set the boundary again until he finally stopped doing it. He actually did finally stop doing it.
Yeah, the Dalai Lama has this. It says, I'm not going to quote it because I can't.
Okay,
this idea that when so if you're supposed to love everybody, does that mean that you just take abuse? And he says, absolutely not. When you stop someone from abusing you, you are not only loving yourself by keeping yourself from being abused, you are not allowing them to be their worst self, which is not good for them. So
Oh,
you were
okay.
caring for your father, you were caring for yourself. You weren't just caring for your father by doing it gently, you were caring for him by giving him an opportunity to not descend
Yeah.
to that
Yes.
negative gossipy place.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So,
So, love, woo, it's a lot
whew,
easier to love people if you have appropriate boundaries with them, bringing in what we
oh my
talked about
stars.
last week. If you let
Absolutely.
somebody treat you poorly over and over again, then you are going to blow up someday,
Right.
or you're going
Right.
to
Including yourself. Including that
resent,
yourself treat you badly.
yes,
Yeah.
and you're going to
Including
carry
yourself.
resentment. But
Yeah.
if you wait a minute, this is what's appropriate. I'm not going to allow anything
I don't know.
that's not appropriate. I'm not going to stay still for it. Then you don't have to carry those frustrated feelings with you. If you don't
Right.
let yourself get to the point of frustration because you've set a boundary that is a few steps before the wall of frustration,
Yeah.
then you get to love more easily.
Yeah. It's exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
There.
and I think, with boundaries, I think that's one of the biggest tools for me with uh, loving people who are hard to love. And
Mhm.
especially if it is family or someone you're in relationship with, and they're not going to go out of your life. They're going to resurface.
They're
They're going
not.
to be around. You're going to have time where you're in the same room with them or in the same place with them. And so I learned at some point to have emotional distance from people, to have mental distance from people. So we're together physically, but I've got shields up around me. And it doesn't mean I don't engage. I'm still respectful. I say hello, but I do know that I have to do the work and say, okay, this isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm related to them. Yes, we are in relationship by blood. And I either can't share certain things with them. I don't spend that much time with them. I that whatever that button may be a mental button, an emotional button that I have to remove. So I have to heal something where that person
Right.
is concerned, and then
Right.
I no longer have that button.
Yeah. I had a family
Exactly.
member that it seemed like we would be estranged, and I didn't really know why.
Right.
And I would just kind of go, "Hey, how are you doing?" every now and then suddenly things seemed to be fine. And the moment they were fine, I would go, oh, "Thank God, they're back. They're back. Okay, things are going to be like I want them to be." And then I would put all my feelings right out here on my sleeve, and then
Yes.
I would get them
Yes.
hurt over and over again. And finally,
Right.
I realized this person is giving what this person is capable of giving. I can
That
take
part.
that and cherish it. And
Yes.
I don't have to put all of my tender places on display every
Yes.
time I
Right.
see them.
Right.
Correct.
That's about me. I
Yeah.
need to protect when I've been taught. I always tell my congregation, you can trust everybody to be who they've shown you they are.
Okay. I think Maya told us that. She says,
Be who they've shown you they are. Yeah.
okay,
So
believe them.
yeah,
Yeah.
and not that people can't change, but
Right.
them saying I'm changed is not the change.
It is not the same.
The
And
change is
so,
you see a different result over
exactly.
time. Then
Yeah.
Exactly.
you can learn to trust that change. But you can trust
Right.
people to be who they've shown you, not who they tell you, but who they've shown you that
Yeah.
they are.
Right.
And so this idea that we can just take care of ourselves. We're in the room with these people. We can take care of ourselves. We don't have
We can.
to do any
And
other thing.
because
Um,
loving someone doesn't mean putting yourself in harm's way. Doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean you don't take their abuse, and you can lovingly just excuse yourself from, if that's who they want to be, and I'm going to honor however you're showing up. That is you. I'm not here to guide your life and say, oh, you need to stop doing this. You need to, because they're not going to listen to you anyway. They're showing up the way they wish to show up, with doing the work that they
or
are willing to
the
do.
best they can. The best they can.
Exactly. In this moment. In this
And
moment.
so
And
I'm
so,
loving myself by not putting myself out there to be hurt. I'm
right.
loving them by not always making them the freaking bad guy.
Exactly that part too.
Mm.
Exactly that part too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very dynamic situation. Love is very dynamic. It's an action verb, like you said. It's activity. It's work. And it's you know, when you know what you're trying to do with love, that I think that real love is freeing. And when you're giving and receiving real love, it's freeing. And when I feel some kind of of catch in it or something, where I feel stumbling around it, something is not right, whatever that may be. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know that that's the case. And so I'm not being loved fully. And so I don't have to keep showing up for this, love, whatever this is. I don't have to keep showing up for that. I can wait for real love to show up. And when it does, I'm available for it. And when it's not, I'm not available for it. And it's okay in a way that doesn't hurt people. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. Just trying to take care of me and my heart. So it is available to love. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
this is what I know to be true. Um, and
For me,
the other
that
thing,
looked like,
yeah,
um, especially when, especially when it's family, I think, or a very close personal
yes,
relationship.
yes,
So my mother and I had quite a bit of conflict the last few years of her life. And so at some point, I had to separate her from the mother category.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I loved her purely as another beloved soul on this planet who is deserving of love and truly is love. But I no longer engaged with her as mother daughter. And
got you.
so I was able to love her still and did, and loved her through the last few months of her life when she wasn't able to advocate for herself. And I did show up as a daughter, but I loved her purely as one of the other 8 billion on the planet who are all love and deserving of love. And so I took
Correct.
away the part that was the button for me. And
That's
that took
perfect.
some time and I had to grieve that, but enabled me to move forward and truly love her in a different way. And sometimes we have to recategorize people, especially when they're close to us,
Oh, I
and
love
say, I
that.
can love you, but I love you. I love the God self, the essence of you. And the
Right.
relationship is now different.
Right. And it's not the relationship. And I love that part that you talk about. I'm grieving the relationship that I had wanted,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Because it's
expected,
not
I
that.
wanted. I thought, I'm just it's not going to be that. And so, but you're still in my life. I still love you. I'm just going to have to
Mhm.
look at it differently, and I'm not going to get all that I want. And they're probably not getting everything they wanted either. That's the thing.
Exactly.
That's the
Yeah. Why
thing.
does the
That
relationship
neither
have
one
to
of us.
be what I want?
Right.
Why
Yeah.
am I the
Right.
arbiter of what's,
Right.
Mhm.
makes this
Yeah.
relationship good? Well, ladies, we've got about
Exactly.
3 minutes left. So
Yeah.
anybody
Less
have
than
a one
three. Yeah.
minute gem they want to share?
Well, I do want to say this real quickly, and I'm going to, again, I said I'm having all this merch. This is one of the things going to say it. It's be the first to love. I love that thing. Be the first to love. So just walk into any situation that you're in and just let your love be on display. And, what comes, and you can save yourself. You have the tools. You know how to walk, to step around and not be hurt by it. But because I just think it's so energetic, and I think it changes the energy field when the love is just coming from you to everybody. I do. So be the
Yes.
first to love. That's what I
Woohoo!
think I want
I
to
love it.
say.
Here's mine. It's pretty simple, but it's something you have to practice over and over and over again. So I drive long distances. I commute to work in Dallas traffic. And when I'm driving and I feel myself go, "You blessed child of God." I literally say that when I catch myself about to curse someone, and I've gotten really good at it. The curse doesn't even come out. It just goes, "Blessed child of God. Blessed, blessed
These
child."
are over and over opportunities for growth,
Exactly. And they
which
may
I
never,
call a fog.
they will never know anything about it, but
No,
I don't want to be the person who spends my time cursing.
Yeah.
exactly. Well, I
So
don't mind
I
that.
would love to be the one who spends my time blessing, and it changes everything around. First of all, because when I catch myself, I laugh my ass off.
Hello.
Can I say ass on this? I don't know. I guess
I don't
I
know.
Just did.
yeah, just did. So blessed
Yeah.
child of God, Kim, what do you got?
So mine is get to the root of the button, remove the button, heal
Boom.
that, and just
Boom.
have less buttons in life. Have less
Yours
buttons.
is so much deeper than
It's
mine.
so freeing. Just so
Yeah.
freeing. Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yours is deep. You just said it in a funny way. It's absolutely deep. Catching yourself, not acting crazy, not being who you know yourself to be.
Oh,
That's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This has been fun, ladies. It went
It is
fast.
always a wonder.
It
I
did.
can't
It
believe
goes
it.
so
Those
fast.
I was like, are you 20 minutes? Really? Then it's
So
time for commercial already?
next week, as we approach Valentine's Day, it's the day before
Yeah.
Valentine's, I think, when we meet again. So
Yes.
we're going to talk about romantic love.
Aw.
Yes.
What that
All right.
is.
So
And
until then,
all of the weird stuff that we put on it. Yeah.
Take care of yourselves.
bye. Thanks for being here.